Okay, so there were some questions on the first assignment, solving quadratics by factoring. So I am going to work a couple of those problems. So number one, we have this. So step one, get 0 on one side. That's already been done. Step two, factor the trinomial. This is already factored. We have this factor times that factor. Step three, set each factor equal to 0. So the reason we do this is because we have two things that are multiplied together that equal 0. And we know that when you multiply, if your answer is 0, then you had to multiply by 0. So if this times this equals 0, then one of them has to be 0. You have to multiply by 0 to get 0. So that factor has to be 0, or that factor has to be 0. So now we solve to get n by itself. Divide both sides by 3. N is 2/3. That's one of our answers. Here, to get n by itself, subtract the 1, divide by 4. So n is -1/4. That's the other answer. So those are the two answers that would make that true. All right, let's do number 5 because it's going to require a few more steps. So we have this. So first we need to get 0 on this side. So I have to take that away. So it's not there. And I always want to go in the order with the k squared and then the k and the plain number. So squared, k to the first power, k to the 0 power. So I have this. And I have my 0. So that was step 1. Now, these are kind of big numbers, and I have a 3 out in front. But I can look, 3 goes into all of these numbers. So I could divide everything by 3 to just make this something that's easier to factor. So now I have that. So now, this is just our FOIL backwards. My first terms multiply to give me k squared, so I know it's k and k. These last terms multiply to give a positive 24 and then add to make a negative 11. So if you like to do it like this, you can think of it like that. So I know that 3 and 8 make 24. If they're both negative, they multiply to make a positive and they add to make a negative 11. So now I have this times that equals 0. That was step 2, factor the trinomial. Step 3, set each factor to equal to 0, because this times that equals 0, so I have to multiply by 0 to get 0. So that factor equals 0, or that factor equals 0. So k is going to be 3, or k is going to be 8. If this parabola was graphed, then we would have zeros at 3 and 8 because that's where our quadratic equaled 0. That's why we call these the zeros or the roots or the solutions of a quadratic, because that's right where that would cross. All right, I hope that helped.